Hello and welcome to Zen Override, a place where you can get some Zen to override the bullshit from what you have to deal with on a daily basis. And Lord knows there's a lot going on out there. So come on in. I saved you a seat. Kick back, put your feet up, you deserve it. This is a meditation that is not like others. So forget everything you thought you knew. You're not going to find crystals and mysticism here. But if you hang out long enough, you might just find that you feel better. Here is an opportunity for you to try different modalities and see which one fits. Today we're going to focus on something that I'll cover at the end. So what I'll have you do to begin is just place your hand over your heart and your hand over your stomach. And as soon as you put your hand over your belly, you will immediately begin to breathe from your diaphragm. Let's go ahead and practice the inhale and exhale now. I'll have you inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And continue on like that, making sure that your exhale is longer than your inhale. If those counts are too long for you, just adjust as needed. Again, making sure that the exhale is longer than the inhale and keeping your hand on your heart. Today I'm going to tell you a story. It's a personal story, and it's about my dad. He was a good man. He was a dork. He was an okay chef, and he was my best friend. We had quite the story leading up to when we got to spend time together. We were separated for 9 years. My mom made sure of that. It wasn't an easy time, but when I turned 16, I was feisty, and I had a friend's mom who helped me and my uncle, and we didn't have cell phones and computers like now, so it took a bit of legwork and several phone calls. And then I made the call, and my dad was on the other end, and it was the first time I'd heard his voice in 9 years. It was a pretty happy reunion, and the first time we spent time together, I got to meet my little sisters who I hadn't met. They were 5 and 7. My little brother was 8. It was quite something. He tried so hard to make up for lost time, and he would lecture me, and he would be Coach Dad. And we started to butt heads, and it was pretty frustrating for both of us. Well, one day he decided that we should go fishing. And I said, sure. So we pulled out the drift boat, and off to the river we went. We were quiet out there. He just handed me my pole and showed me where the bait was. We were both pretty quiet the first time, and we're both outgoing and talkative, so that was pretty interesting. It didn't take long before one of us made some comment guaranteed to make the other one laugh. Out on the water, I got to see him for the first time. He was himself out there. He was lighthearted, he was fun, he was relaxed. And he had this calm, steady, peaceful, confident way about him. It instilled confidence for me, too. I never wanted to be on the river with anybody else. He would sing and tell stories. He'd laugh and he'd play. It was just easier to talk to him out there. And it didn't take long for that to become kind of our thing. We would go on the river when we hung out, because that was a place where we got along and we got to have fun. And it was great. And we got to bond out there too. He was miserable running his contracting company. It was taxing on his knees and his soul, and I could see it. So after a particularly rough day, I suggested maybe he trade all the roofing materials and invoices for his oars and flow reports. Why not? I mean, he knew all the rivers. He knew where to fish. He knew the local lore. Why not? He'd be a great guide. And would you believe it? A father listened to his daughter, and he did just that. He traded his hammer and nails for oars and flow reports, and he got his permits, and he became a river guide. He would plan events, and he quickly weaved himself into the community that would become like family. And we grew super close over those years. No one ever knew what we had been through before, because it was like nothing had happened. Eventually, he had grandchildren, and they called him Papa Riverman. And we were all so happy every time we got together. So many memories colored with laughter and fragranced with the scent of campfire. Many, many weekends, many summers, many flipped boats, many big swims, and many bigger rescues. Years later, he planned his own river trip, an excursion to Thailand to visit a friend. The friend that dropped me on my head. It was a journey that he had planned forever, and he finally let himself take the time to go. He got to be the guest for once. He was scheduled to catch the flight just after our annual New Year's Day float. And as we had done many times before, we got up early in the morning and we met the other diehards at the park where we would launch. It was cold. It was January 1st. It was freezing. The sun was coming in and out, playing peekaboo in the clouds. And there was frost on the ground. And you could see our puffs of breath floating in the air above our rafts as we loaded up. Dry suits made the just above freezing weather more than tolerable. And the river was hauling ass. It was 7,000 cubic feet per second. That's about 2.5 miles per hour on dry land, but still crazy fast for the river. And the rapids were huge. They were beautifully huge. It was a good turnout, with the usual suspects representing their respective clubs. After topping the air off in the rafts and cataract tubes, the various crafts shoved off the riverbank, and many a yee-haw was heard as the various crafts were swept into the raging current. It was an exhilarating morning, and a little bit of a shock to arrive at the takeout so soon. The swift water landed us far sooner than we had all expected, but no one minded. We all gathered around with the warmth of fires and hugs, giving each other shit, laughing. It was great, and we got to have barbecue very early in the day. As the sun continued to play for the second half of the day and started to get late, we decided to go back. I needed to get my car and get to work the next day. So we drove out to the car and got out. And I gave him a great big hug. The only hugs that he could give me were great big ones, and I'm tiny, and so inevitably my face was smashed into his super thick, soft flannel. It must have been new because it was super soft. I told him to be good, and I gave him a wink because, he was going to Thailand. And I told him to text me when he was on his way out. Well, he got on his plane, and he was about 10 hours out over the Pacific, and the plane got deviated to Tokyo. I received a call at work, and there was someone on the other end of the phone explaining there had been a medical emergency that forced the plane to land. That was quite a phone call. In the next 3 weeks, my brother and I would struggle to get him home. It was pretty devastating, and we were surprised. We were very surprised that he made it. He made it all the way back home. He made it those 3 weeks. He wasn't expected to. At any minute, he wasn't expected to, but he made it all the way home. I was the first one at the hospital when he landed and his gurney came in. My brother was close behind. And we went with him to his room. And in the elevator, my brother talked to him. And as we neared his room, it was my turn. And I said, "Oh, Dad, we forgot to take our selfie." It was kind of something that we did every time we went to any river trip. There are selfies for days of us. And would you believe it? He looked at me. He looked straight at me. And that was not supposed to happen. That should not have happened. But he looked straight at me. And I said, "Are you here? Are you really here?" And he just looked at me like, "Oh man," because we had forgotten to take our selfie. And I laughed, and it was really hard to hold back the tears. And then I got a text. It was my son. He said he wanted to come and say goodbye to Papa. So I wanted to get him, and I knew that any second this moment would be gone. I also didn't want to leave right then, but I told him that I needed to go and get his grandson and that I would hurry and be right back. And he grabbed my hand. Something else he was not supposed to be able to do, but he grabbed my hand and he made this motion with his thumbs and his fingers, kind of like he was waving goodbye in my hand. It was impossible to make it to the elevator and back down to my car without busting out in tears. But I flew like a rocket, and I got my son, and came back. And one sister that was scattered to one side of the world and the other sister to the other end of the state had made it to the hospital. And that night, over our dad, we got to share lots of that one time. Remember that one time? Oh, and that one time. It was later that night that he got all of his children for the first time in nearly 20 years together in the same room. And that's when he went. What a way to go. What a beautiful, beautiful way. He called his own shot. We were all so blessed to live such an imperfect life. So many stories. And it found its way to a really cool ending. There are many gifts in life, and this story is one I am extremely grateful to be able to tell and to share with you. And would you believe it? You did it. Another meditation. How awesome is that? This is heart-brain coherence, or a gratitude practice. It's a special practice that has a profound and lasting effect on your neural circuitry. It calms the autonomic nervous system and reduces inflammatory cytokines brought on by prolonged stress. The most potent form of a gratitude practice is from listening to stories of others experiencing gratitude that evoke emotion, similar to empathy. There's links to the study in the description. There's many studies, actually. There's the Heart Math Institute as well. I'll link that as well. The more often you listen to stories that give you feels, the faster and faster effects build and take hold, causing a resilience to stress. Having a story that you can return to over and over again, even if it's not the entire story, creates noticeable and measurable shifts in your heartbeat and breathing. This is a repeatable state that activates neural circuitry and builds quickly with very little effort. 3 to 5 minutes a day will have big effects. Repeated gratitude practices will change the circuits of the brain and the way the heart and brain interact. Again, this reduces anxiety and fear circuits while increasing circuits for feelings of motivation and well-being. And who doesn't want that? I think we all need that. If you do the smashing of the like, it's free and it helps the channel so that I can bring you more. Subscribe, share, all of these are huge helps. You are appreciated, you are loved, and you are the reason someone smiled today. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.